Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your preview show. I'm your host Khalid Mohidin, and this is the show where we obviously talk about the South African game versus England. Now, it's the aftermath after England slaughtered us basically 5 wickets. Okay, I won't say slaughter, I'm being a bit harsh, but okay, 5 wicket win from England's perspective. A very good win from their side. A lot of learning curves for South Africa, I feel. There was quite a few learnings to take out of it. And yeah, I think it was the right game for us to get a start to our international season. To get a loss like that, I feel is a massive learning curve for a team that's in transition, trying to look for their best 11 still. I think that is the case with South Africa. A lot of people might not say so because of the ages of the guys that are in the side, but I strongly believe that they are still new with regards to amount of caps. So we're still looking around for our best 11 and our best formats and all of those things. But we're going to talk about the game tomorrow, of course, and that is the game in Paarl. Obviously, it's an afternoon game. And yeah, Paarl, if the weather's going to be like it is today, it's going to be a scorcher in Paarl. And we know what happens when there's a scorcher in Paarl. It can be quite a long, dragging day. It will feel like you're playing a 7-day test match when you're just playing a quick T20. So I'm going to bring on the panelists. But before I bring on the panelists, you know what you got to do. Subscribe to this channel and click that notification bell for all future videos. But let's introduce everybody on the show. We can go with our main favorite, one of our favorite friends from England. We've got two now, but now it was one of our first friends from England, and that is Aaron. So bring him on the show. Welcome to the show, brother. And then we've got Lucy, of course, and we've got Umpo. So welcome to the show, guys. I'm really excited to chat to you. So, aftermath. Let's talk about the aftermath first. Obviously, Paul, let's start with you because from South African perspective, let's go from a little bit of sadness into happiness. So let's start with you.
Okay, let me just forget about my. I have a pet peeve with chords just not being tangled. Yeah, I've been dealing with. I think this morning we've been dealing with a lot of Bjorn Hendricks hate. Guys calling him a clown, guys saying that he bowled very badly or he always bowls badly. I think that's been quite unfair on him. I think Faf spoke about it yesterday. Those performances happened to anyone. It happened to Lungi Ngidi in the IPL, and we all wanted him to get another chance. He only got one extra match and then he got dropped. But everyone's complaining that his economy rate is now close to 10, but before the game his economy rate was close to 9. Just like 0.2 decimal points ahead of Kagiso and Lungi. So that's been what's happening today. It's all Bjorn Hendricks hate, which I think is unfair. We need to look at the batting lineup. I think it doesn't give you much. The balance of the side yesterday, come to think of it, was wrong. We always have a sixth bowling option. We didn't have a sixth bowling option yesterday. That was Heino Klaasen. So if Heino Klaasen is your sixth bowling option, you're in trouble. Especially because Shamsi wasn't bowling well for three of the 4 overs that he had, and then on top of that, Bjorn Hendricks' 4th over was very bad, and he kind of went for 9 and a bit in his first 3. So there wasn't a lot of room for Quinton to kind of play around. Yes, Lungi Ngidi bowled exceptionally well yesterday, so did Kagiso, to try and keep the score. The deficit respectable and keep us in the game. But I think that's where the issue is. We need that other all-rounder. What's going on with Andile Phehlukwayo? What's going on with... We know what happened with Dwayne Pretorius, but is there another fast-bowling all-rounder? Or do you then have to force George Linder to bat at 6 and get another seamer in? So those are the things that I'm thinking about today in terms of the balance of the side, because it was sincerely off, and you don't normally win a T20 with just 5 out-and-out bowlers. There's always that 6th option. England always have Ben Stokes just hanging around if he can and if he wants to bowl. You kind of need that in a T20 context in order for you to win games and to stem runs flow, because T20 is momentum. So if a team gets momentum, you need to try break it by. Yes, last night we saw Heino Klaasen over, but you also need somebody who actually can bowl quite well and can help you on that side of the end to try and break momentum and things like that. So that's where I think South Africa's selection was off, and we need a fix going forward.
So I'm going to bring Lubabalo on. Lubabalo, talk quickly so we can hear if everything's okay your side. We just want to get your thoughts on the South African performance yesterday? How are you feeling after that performance yesterday? Moving forward. Nope, we can't hear you. Yeah, we're gonna have to sort that out, bro. I'll try to. Yeah, we can't hear you. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to help. I'm gonna try to help him out offline sometime. So Aaron, let's go with you. We leave the best for last with Lucy. Let's go with you first, Aaron. What is your thoughts on South Africa's performance a little bit? But let's rather just talk about England first. How happy were you, or how proud were you with the performance, or do you think that you can do a lot better than you did yesterday, or how are you feeling about England's performance?
I think it's a bit mixed, to be honest. I think in terms of the batting, at times there were some disappointing moments. I think in particular for me, I'm a big advocate of Dad Milan. His dismissal against George Linder wasn't the greatest bit of batting I've ever seen. Same with Jason Roy as well. I mentioned it last night with the review show, 7 innings, 49 runs. He needs some runs behind him. And hopefully, as this show progresses, we'll talk about how he can get those tomorrow. So in terms of the batting, maybe slightly lackluster from key players. Obviously, Johnny Bairstow, sensational. What a batsman he is. In terms of the bowling as well, I think we actually did quite well to claw it back, because after that Tom Curran over, we could have easily capitulated. But this England team, that bowling attack in particular, fights like absolute lions. We wrestled back some control, made it a game which we could actually chase. So yeah, I think in a way it's a bit mixed. It wasn't the most clinical England display I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst. And at the end of the day, the important thing is the win. And we got it. We finally won a series opener abroad, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm willing to take a more optimistic outlook on England's performance after yesterday. In terms of the Proteas, now that's a lot more interesting, because it's been one game, and you've got to think these guys have not played for months. And it's as if a lot of people have just forgot that and thrown it completely out the window. And as Poe rightly said about Bowen Hendricks, he's almost been made the scapegoat. I feel like I've been looking at it on Twitter this morning, so much hate for him. It happens to even the very best. The fact is, if that happened to Rabard, if that happened to Archer, we would be saying, oh, it's okay, but they'll be back next game. Hendricks should not be slated this much. So that's all I'm going to say about him. With regards to the balance as well, you massively missed Petr on that wicket. You really did. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition. As soon as he comes in, going to be so much more balanced. And there's going to be a lot more depth in that South Africa team. And then the final thing I'll say about the Proteas is in terms of the batting, that middle order really needed to kick on. I feel like last night they're a bit in their shell, a bit tentative. You need a finisher in that team. Now, for me, I have said the name John Smuts. I know his strike rate hasn't been brilliant for many, many years now. But I personally would be maybe wanting to have him in there. But if not, a guy like David Miller, if he can come back into the lineup, I think the South Africa team can have the beating of England.
Cool. I'm going to try, before we go to you, Lucy, I'm going to try Lubabalo one more time. I'm hoping that it's going to work. Lubabalo, you ready at the back there? Just give me a thumbs up. Not seeing anything from you. Are you good, bro? I still don't hear any sound from your side. Try to plug your earphones out and just speak without them. No. Nothing. Yeah, nothing. I'll try to sort you out off camera, bro. Afterwards, after the show. I'm really sorry about this. I'll chat to you after the show and try to figure out what's happening. These things happen with technology. We have to just say sorry and move on. Yesterday we had issues. Myself, I had issues with stuff as well, so it's a bit weird. My screen is just going dark by itself. Weird. Anyway, so Lucy, from your perspective, let's start with England. I mean, I know you were really happy about England's performance.
Yeah, so totally agree with Aaron. I feel like we played well, but I feel like we could play better. From a bowling and batting perspective, obviously Jason Roy, that's a big thing. 7 innings, was it 49 runs? He needs a big score going into the World Cup next year, I think, if he's considered to be in that position. And Johnny Bairstow, phenomenal again. But again, he always does it when he's got a point to prove. So I remember he was dropped from, I think it was South Africa last year, when he went on to score like big runs, and he was like aggressive in the field and stuff, and he was just showing like, I've got a point to prove, I belong in this team.
I look at Johnny Bairstow. I think he's a very stubborn player. He's one of those players that's what I get from him. He just doesn't like to lose his wicket. Like if he's in, he's in. He's gonna stay there until the end of the innings. Let's go through your teams. Obviously we're gonna do it a bit differently for this time. Remember that for these previews, we're just gonna switch it up a little bit, do something different.
Can I just say something on England? Can I say something on England?
Yes, you can.
I think from an England perspective, yes, Tom Curran was the problem, but I think as a unit they bowled very well. Everyone keeps on saying this is the hardest team to get into. Yes, it is. But they knew, or everyone in that English team knows their role. Even if you're a new person coming in, you kind of understand your role and you work towards it. And I think that's what was missing with South Africa. It kind of felt that guys didn't know their roles, or even if they did know their roles, it was a little bit of an extra requirement last night, largely because they didn't play. But like, if the way in which you watch that English chase, even because when you saw Eoin Morgan at 6, you kind of thought this man's not going to bat, or even if he does, he might not have enough time to get in. But he started slowly, and then all of a sudden he opened it up, and then Sam Curran closing it out, and that shows where South Africa need to get to, where a team is comfortable in their roles, and you have a squad of 15 where everybody knows what their role is when they come into play. So it was good from a South African perspective to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that it's something about South Africa. It's like these was just certain particular things that they made the wrong decision with. And we spoke about it yesterday, and I don't want to hop on those things and isolate players from those things. I think South Africa has the talent to be able to play a brand of cricket that is adaptable. And because of the type of players that we have naturally, I don't think they should be trying to force a philosophy. We saw that with Gibson. We saw that with Mickey as well. And we saw that with Russell specifically as well. Trying to force a philosophy is not necessarily the way to go with South Africa. I think that we have to trust the fact that we have the players that are playing, that can adapt their game. Select players that can do so, that can play smart cricket. It's difficult to force players to play a certain brand of cricket. And I felt like, I don't know if you saw Chris's article that he wrote today, and it was the very positive look on the world and going forward, and the positives that came out of that game. He gave some excellent points about that. Temba needs to play his natural game, and if he does play his natural game, he'll be the perfect person at the top of that of the order, and he won't have so many criticism because he has the brain to be able to adapt his game to conditions and adapt his game to the match situation. So that's just personally what I think about those type of things. I think if we allow our players to be able to play their natural games, South Africa will automatically play an aggressive, smart brand of cricket. That's my take on things. But let's go into your teams. I'm going to try to get this preview. I need to be 30 minutes because we want people to stay along and engage with the content, of course. So let's start with some of your teams that we have over here. Aaron, I'm going to go with you first because you picked England. So what we're gonna do from now onwards, the South Africans are going to pick the South African team, and the England guys are going to pick the England team, and then we're going to talk about them generally speaking. I don't think there's too many major changes for you guys over here, but let's talk about you, Aaron. Talk us through your team and the decision that you've decided to make. Remember, you can talk about the conditions in Paarl a little bit as well.
Yes, and spot on, Khaled. That has influenced my decision here. So in terms of my 11, I've pretty much chosen the same one that won yesterday. You don't change something if it isn't broken. You don't change a winning combination. But with regards to one change, Tom Curran, of course, he did have a bit of a shocker yesterday. And when you think in Paarl, it is a bit more spin friendly. And in fact, I do actually have the numbers in front of me here. Compared to medium pacers, the average, I think there's a difference of around 20. So it's massive, a lot better economy as well. 1.5 better, in fact, in terms of runs conceded per over. So for that reason, I've gone Moeen Ali. I know if Shay was watching, he may not enjoy that decision personally, but yeah, I just think Moeen deserves another chance. In terms of his striking and his power hitting ability, he's improved that massively. In the last year, he's been striking at 168. He may as well come in as a finisher. And not only that, he offers the off spin. If England had Joe Root, fair enough, there would be an argument to put him in instead. But I just think Moeen Ali, this is perfect. We've come off the back of a win. Let's get him in there, get some confidence, put him in the winning 11. And yeah, that's why I've chosen him over Tom Curran personally.
Yeah. And remember, you've got that insight with David Malan. I mean, he's played over there, obviously, for when he was for the Blitz. He obviously had an opportunity to play in Paarl. So he understands. And he also he's lived there a couple of times. He calls it the second home, or he calls it his home, actually, sometimes. Lucy, I'm going to go with you. Let's get England out of the way first. Talk to me through your team.
Yeah, so I took quite a harsh move and just dropped Roy.
And you dropped
Um,
you dropped
and
Archer, the second Archer. You dropped as well. So.
Yeah. It was a tough choice. But yeah, I've got Joss and Dawid Malan opening up. I've moved Besto up to 3. And I've also put Moeen Ali in because Paarl is obviously spin friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
kept the current ones as well.
Yeah, for Paul that didn't get that joke, the inside joke. I put two Jofra Archers in the team the last time when we did our preview. So,
Hey,
so yeah,
can you give us the other one? Can we take the other joke?
Yeah. So Lucy, excellent. Do you think from your perspective? Obviously, I saw over here that you've kept on. And what is your thoughts behind that exactly?
Well, I think he's proved himself to be in the team, and I think with what happened with Isover going for runs, you've got to think that they weren't wide, so anything they were obviously hit or mainly off. And I think that can happen to anyone, so I think he deserves to stay in the team really.
See, now that's South Africans is how we should think about guys that get punished as well. That's how we should think about it.
My question to Lucy is, it looks like your batting order is very. Yes, we know England bat until 11. I get it, but your premium batsmen, you've only got 5. Is that a much better balance from an England perspective? Knowing that Ben Stokes can bowl too.
Yes, so that's the thing. So you've got Mo, he's like kind of an all-rounder, isn't he? Obviously, you've got Ben Stokes as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of happy with the balance, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good team.
To send you a care package so you can put him in your side.
Okay, Paul, let's go with your South African team. Talk about that. I've seen that you've stuck with the guys. You've stuck with the guys that you said you want to stuck with. So with the first things first, when you sent me the message, my first thing is, let me see if Paul's going to stick to what he said he's going to stick to. Is he going to stick to his guys that he supported? And that's 100% what you did. And that's what I like. You back your players. So just talk me through your team.
So we're looking for combinations. We're looking for guys who can play. We're looking for guys. So I had to take into account Paarl. That's why I went with the second spinner. We're a batsman. It looks like we're batsman light, but I can trust. I can back George Linder to bat 6 out of 7 overs in a match, and we should be able to have Andile batting in that number 6 slot in a T20 anyway. So that's why it looks a little, because it looks a batsman light, and that's my big fear. If we go 3 down in the power play, you're stuck with Rassie, Miller, George Linden, and Andile to carry you through 14 overs, which is worst case scenario. But that's the reason why we need to play smart cricket. We can't go all guns blazing up front, but we can pull it back with some power hitting at the back end, and that's the type of thinking I'm going with. I kept Bjorn Hendricks because I feel as though he needs to get a game to get rid of Friday night. Lungi's our best. Lungi and Andile are our best T20 international bowlers currently playing. Yes, I know Dale Steyn and I know Imran Tahir, but they're the guys currently in the squad who are the best. They have the best stats, economy rate, strike rate, whatever you want to call it. Yes, put them in, let them play. I feel as though we already know what we're going to get from Kagiso. There's another discussion that we have to discuss as to whether Kagiso should play T20s. He's great, and he will be going to the World Cup. The question is, we need to find out who the other bowler will be amongst Anouch, Bjorn Hendricks, to a certain extent Junior Dala will be going to the World Cup. So we need to find a way. And I would be okay if you bring in Junior Dala instead of Lungi Ngiti, so you can have a bowler for the next 2 games between the 3 to see how it will end up. So that's the reason why I wanted to see. Anouch only played 3 T20 internationals for South Africa, so I want to see how he is. He didn't have a great. He averages 48, only took 3 wickets. His economy rate's very high. So those are the things you want to see with Anouch. So that's how I went. I ideally, did I keep Klaasen and did I push him out? I was. Yeah. So here's the problem with Paarl. I'm a fan with Paarl that you need to have at least between 8 and 10 overs of spin to kind of get you to a comfortable win. And that's where I would have wanted maybe Heino Klaasen to come in instead of a David Miller. because of the fact that he can give you 2 overs. Yes, it wasn't quality at Newlands, but he is someone that you can look to as a captain, as an option. And also his limited overs form over the past year has been so great that he deserves a spot in the side. The only problem is the balance is what I was trying to go for, and to give Quinton as much bowling options as possible for every eventuality. And that's essentially the South African team I want. I want Quinton to have a bowler for every situation that he might find on the field. And to a certain extent, maybe even in India, drop 1 seamer, bring in another spinner, and maybe even have 3 spinners, which is a little bit too much. But maybe George Linde's role now needs to change to be more of a number 6 batsman who can bowl the 4 overs to give you that leeway. But that's what I was trying to look to. So I was trying to say, okay, fine. Next year, going into India, maybe this is the composition. Obviously, the names would be different, but these are the skill sets that I'm looking for.
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to show my team. It's actually interesting because I was going to show Lubabalo's team, but I don't think it's fair to talk about it when he's not here. But I'm going to show my team right now. I've gone with a similar team. The only difference I've made is Pat van Biljoen out and Andile Peglikwayo in, and Andrik Nokia I'm putting in immediately for Buren. It's not because of Buren's form. It's got nothing to do with that for me. I just think that Andrik Nokia has proven himself, especially in the IPL. And I think that he's worked so hard on his slower delivery, especially when I saw in the IPL how he's worked on that, as well as his variations. His Yorkers, phenomenal. His pace is ridiculous. I know that in Paarl it's going to be a little bit more tricky for a guy like him, but I want to see what he's capable of in a difficult situation. And I think that the fact that Buren didn't play that well in that over, and he went through that, it might be a good thing for them to just maybe try something new. It would be a safe option for them to do, even though I think that giving Buren the extra time might give him his confidence back again. But then again, I think Andrik Nokia I think these are our 3 best fast bowlers in the country, in my opinion. I've thought that for a very long time, and I thought that that's going to be our best 3. I think this team bats deep. There's an extra bowling option. I think it's the most balanced side that we can put together. Personally, that's what I think. Other than maybe George Linde, maybe John Smuts, but I'm a big George Linde fan. I just think George Linde is a better bowler than John, to be honest.
Those are the 4 World Cup seamers that you want to start in the World Cup. That's for sure. You just need to figure out who's the guy who's going to be sitting on the bench. Is it Dwayne Pretorius, or is it Buren Hendricks, or is it someone else?
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I think we're probably going to have like 12 T20s between now and the World Cup. So there's a lot of room to change. Yeah, I think, because my thing is I've seen enough of Kagiso, but I want in the T20 that Lungi is the leader of this attack. Lungi is our best bowler with all the variations and stuff he does. He needs to lead this attack and be able to guide. You could say youngsters, but he's young too. But he's the most. I think him and Andile can really take this and make our team one of the
especially
best.
On wickets like that,
one
especially
of the best bowling attacks in the world. And because the batting side of our game, it needs a lot of work, and it's a confidence issue. But if we can defend, then it'll be great. And even yesterday, it showed that we could defend. Yes, that 17th over wasn't great, but to take England deep into that final over, not too deep into the final over, and on a pitch that should have been about 200, and that says that we've got something. We just need we just need to find the right personnel and give guys an opportunity so they can learn and understand what we need.
Yeah. So there's another guy that I really would like to see, because I think he suits the T20 format really well because of his pace, is Luther Sepamla. I just think Luther Sepamla is the type of guy that needs to work on his accuracy a lot more often. Like he's the type of bowler that I think if someone like Vern took him under his wing and told him, look here, I'm going to teach you how to put it on that 5-cent piece every single time, or 10-cent piece in South Africa is a lot smaller. I don't think I've seen a 10 cents in a long time there. So
I don't think I've seen a 50 cents in a long time.
Yeah, if you can find a 10-cent piece around your room, put that down and just bowl on that particular spot every single time. And I think that's the type of that will help Luto a lot to just get the accuracy to control. I'm not saying that he needs to bowl like that in a T20 match, but I'm saying to learn the control, to be able to know that when I release this ball, I know where it's going to go. You don't want a situation, and me personally, I feel like Morris is the type of guy that and I shouldn't be bringing Morris up right now, but I mean, I feel like he can be all over the show. Like, I think that his consistency is not as accurate as someone like a Lungi Ngidi. Whereas Lungi knows exactly where he's going to put that ball when it releases on. He's a thinking bowler, and I love that about Lungi.
But that's what you see with our bowlers. Kagiso, Lungi, and Anrich. Anrich's learned that now in the IPL to be able to put it in a spot consistently. Bjorn Hendricks has been improving in that, and he's shown that in the MSL. It's just that when you haven't been asked of that to do that in like 9 months, you're going to struggle. And so we need to give him a little bit more because he hasn't played cricket like the guys who were in India. Anrich's played 10 games already this year. Cricket, my T20 matches, Bjorn's played 0. Okay, 1. You know, and those are the questions. But I'd also like to see Junior Dala play, because Junior Dala is also in another category because he's an interesting type of bowler, and he just needs an opportunity. He got injured. Not a lot of people like him, but I think he could be someone that we could use going forward.
Yeah, I think my idea about it, and I'm going to give it over to you two as well. I want you guys to actually tell us who do you think would change in either of our teams. But when I think of it now, I think if you are not one of the best bowlers or the best bowler in the country at the age of 31, 32, or one of your best players in the country at that age, and you're telling me that and there's youngsters that are doing a better job than you at that particular thing, I think the youngsters should get the nod every single time. I feel that's my personal opinion, but if they're not going to walk into the starting 11, then what are they doing there? That's my idea of things. It's like having them on the bench here. Yeah, really does that really help much if you got a youngster that's hungry to play? I think a guy that is hungry to prove himself is a lot more dangerous than a guy that has been around and just like, you know, come a little bit complacent. But that's just my opinion. Aaron and Lucy, let's go with both of you. Any comments on the South African sides that you've seen? Mine and Umpos, if there's anything that you want to rebuttal on that.
Do you mind just getting the squads back up? Sorry.
Yeah. I expect you guys all to be like Sheldon Cooper. So I'll start with the Paarl.
Right, okay, looking at that, to be honest, I quite like that. And the reason why, Empo, is because of Bowron Hendricks. And I understand your point, to be quite honest. Because if you've been taken to the absolute cleaners as a bowler and then you're immediately dropped, what is that meant to do for your confidence? It just completely ruins it. So I can understand that. Whether or not the Proteas will actually do that, in theory, we'll have to wait and see. In terms of that bowling attack, though, I do quite like it. I did just want to throw one name out there, though, because I don't believe it's in either of yours. And it would just be for a game, and that's Bjorn Fortuin. Because he had a fantastic season for the Paarl Rocks last year in the MSL. He knows the surface. He's an excellent spin bowler. He's someone who I think could play a part in India. I just wanted to know if you two could somehow manipulate your 11 to try and fit him in, or is he not an option for you two? From my perspective,
the fact that George Linder played well in that game, he needs to be rewarded. I wouldn't have gone with George Linder. I would have gone with Bjorn Fortuin. That would have made our tail a lot longer at Newlands, and I think that's the reason why George Linder got the nod over Bjorn Fortuin, and also the way George Linder bowled at Newlands in the start of the domestic season was one of the reasons why. I always think Bjorn Fortuin's a better white ball bowler than George Linder or Keshav Maharaj in South Africa, and he should be there. I just know that Mark and Graham are going to go with George Linder again because he can bat. And not saying George Linder can't bat, Bjorn Fortuin can't bat. He's just not at that level that George Linder is at. And he'd need to work on, and it's unfair because he's the best. I think Bjorn Fortuin's the best white ball left arm spin in the country, but George Linder's the best red ball left arm spin in the country, outside of Keshav Maharaj, who's a Proteas player. So you kind of have that dichotomy where one guy, if you looked at just on the spin factor alone, I'd pick Bjorn Fortuin, but the team needed something else yesterday, and George Linder comes in. And even with that batting lineup, if, for instance, we had Dwayne Pretorius batting at 6, whom I trust, and maybe Andile coming in as the third seamer instead of Lungi Ngidi. So you have Andile, you have Dwayne, you have Anrich and Bjorn. I would then bring in Bjorn Fortuin because of that, because then you kind of covered 1 to 6, because I've Dwayne Pretorius is the best batting the best batsman out of all bowling all-rounders we have in this country, especially in a T20. So that's kind of the sucky part about Dwayne Pretorius' injury, is that it kind of forces guys to find extra skills in their bag, and that's what makes George Linder so attractive right now, and he's doing quite well. Shamsi, on the other hand, because Shamsi's a left arm wrist spinner and he spins the ball the other way. If, let's say, Tahir played, then you'd look for a right arm orthodox type of spinner to kind of help, because the ball's turning predominantly okay, but Tahir turns it with the balls the googly a lot more. So those are the type of things I was looking for. Shamsi takes it into the right hander, Linder takes it away from the right hander. So that gives you, which was a funny moment yesterday when Linder took that second wicket of David Malan. I kind of felt that Johnny Bairstow, he needed to get an over to just bowl to Johnny Bairstow, because that would have been the easy one, because he was having a great time with Shamsi yesterday. So those are the small little things that it's just that it's tough, but I hope he gets an opportunity in the ODI side.
Yeah.
And then possibly more T20s.
Look, Bjorn Fontaine can hold the bat too. I've seen him in first class cricket. I didn't see him in first class cricket, but I know he scored a 170 to 180 in a match ready for in the first class cricket. So he's a good batsman as well. I just don't think he's a big hitting batsman, and he's not the guy that's going to slog the ball out to the ground. He's more of a guy that can find the gaps, etc. So I think bringing him in to be able to help another batsman that is anchoring an innings. So, like, David Miller has been playing with the tail a lot. If he had Bjorn Fortuin over there at number 8 coming in, Bjorn will be able to do a job there to rotate the strike, to keep his wicket, to make sure that he's not going to look like, oh shit, every single time he's going to miss the ball, or every single time he's going to go out. So he at least can hold the bat and he can play a role in that number 8 position. I'm going to actually show Lubabalo's team, because Lubabalo decided to go for Bjorn Fortuin. And that's an awesome thing. That is something different that would have added a lot of different spice to this particular talk. And he played Bjorn at 9, so you can see it's quite a deep batting lineup. A lot of bowlers in there that can obviously bowl the full 4 overs, etc. But I'm going to take that away, and I'm going to give Lucy an opportunity to tear my team apart. Who in my team, Lucy, would you say you're not so happy about, or would you rather like to see?
I like your team, actually. I like the fact that I would have kept Buren in. I think it's a bit harsh if you take him out. I feel like he needs another chance just to keep his confidence there. Otherwise, you never get a chance again, and he'll doubt himself and stuff. But I like the fact you put your number 8. Was it?
Sorry.
Can you go back to it a sec? Yeah. Noki's kept in. Oh, you've put in, sorry. And I'd have Miller in there as well. But he is injured at the minute or something, isn't he? So,
yeah, we're not sure what's wrong with Miller.
Khalid, why don't you have David Miller in there? Assuming
because
that he's available. Is it because he's not available for selection, or
I won't pick Miller.
So Miller time is over.
My Miller time's over. I think Heinrich Klaasen is a much more talented batsman. I'm going to be honest. Against spin especially as well. I think Heinrich Klaasen is a good player against spin, and I think in India we're going to need him over there. Plus the factor that when I spoke to Heinrich, the stuff that he was telling me about Mark Boucher and how he'd run through walls for Mark Boucher and how he'd put himself, I think that mental side of it, that he'll do anything for Mark Boucher, is a factor that I think it will give us an extra winning mentality edge in that middle order. That's why I'll play Heinrich Klaasen over him. And I think Heinrich Klaasen also a little bit younger as well, a little bit more fresh. I just think that I just think he's more talented. I think if Miller's going to come into this side, I don't see Miller as, I know a lot of people are going to argue and fight with me about this, but I don't see Miller as a 6. I think he's a 4. Yes. That's where I think he should be batting. But if he can't get the performances in, then and bat at 4 and put in the performances, then I don't know. I think
the question is, it's actually not Heinrich Klaasen. He's actually fighting for his position with Rassie van der Dussen.
Ultimately, yes. And if AB comes back, oh yeti.
So here's another question for you. Yanaman Malan.
I love Yanaman, yes.
Yes, I know you love him. I'm indifferent. I think he's going down the Aiden Markham route of just being loved. But like there's a certain level of love that's given to certain players.
This guy comes up. It's like coming after he comes after my sister and my girlfriend. Like, what that boom.
Sorry, no. But is there a spot for Yanaman in this team to open? A lot of people don't like Timber. They've never liked him. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. But I want to know, is there a spot for Yanaman? Because I saw another 11 doing the rounds on WhatsApp with Yanaman batting, with Yanaman opening the batting and Timber batting at 3 with Faf at 4.
So my thoughts on Yanaman Malan, being that he's still quite young, there's still a lot of room to grow for him. The spin option side of his game, I think against pace, he's brilliant. There's not a lot of batsmen. It's the same with Aiden Markham. It's exactly the same with Aiden Markham. Against pace, they're phenomenal. Look at them against the guys like Mitchell Stark, against the guys like Archer. I think they'll be able to take them on. The pace doesn't worry them. The shorter deliveries don't really bother them. They're not scared batsmen. But when that ball is spinning different ways, I just feel that the experience to understand where that ball is moving. I think that Yanaman needs to be in the side to go to India to get that experience, to be able to get that opportunity to be able to see how do these wickets turn, how do these guys bowl, what is the way these things, take a few net sessions in that conditions, get a guy like Shamsi to bowl at you in those conditions and see what it is actually like. Because I think that Yanaman is a phenomenal batsman, but he won't make my side because I feel that right now Temba and Quinny, when they are hot, they are hot. They complement each other beautifully. And I think he's the type of guy that Quinton de Kock is the type of guy that when the opportunity comes for him to be able to play his natural game the most, I think Temba brings out the best in him in that. Because Temba's not trying to take his spotlight away.
And that's what the wicket yesterday was irritating for me, was that Timber, I understand that that's one of your get out of jail free shots, but it's the first over. At least see what Quinton's going through on the other side. If Quinton is struggling, then maybe start considering trying to accelerate the run rate. But up until then, because you don't know what Quinton's going to face, just be yourself. And not necessarily be yourself, because that's himself. That's how he thinks. It's just that I thought he assumed something that wasn't necessarily something too early, rather than waiting to see what Quinton was going to do on the other side. Because he already got 6 runs in that first over. He got 5 and Quinton got 1. He just needed to see what the second over was going to bring and maybe adjust from there. But look, you kind of needed to put pressure on the bowlers, and maybe that's the whole aggressive nature of Mark Boucher saying, okay, let's be on top of England. And maybe that was one of the shots that he identified as a way to make Sam Kerr put him under pressure and take that over from 6 to 10. So those are the small little things that you kind of saw yesterday that kind of were like, okay. But I'm hoping that at least they can bat for 3 overs. That's all I want. Bat for 3 overs, see what it is, and then assess from there, just like he did with Faf.
Okay. Yeah, so guys, me and Mpo spoke a lot, and I want you, Aaron and Lucy, I want you to take us home. First, let me just put up a comment from Dan saying Lubabalo's team bats to 9. It's brilliant. Some because he couldn't make it to the show, so Temba and Markram greater than Yanaman. But there's one particular one that I really, really like, and I'm just trying to find it. It just disappeared on me. Why did it disappear on me? I just saw it now. Oh, there we go. Props to Aaron for always having his hair perfect. So Aaron, just take us away there. I want you and Lucy to have a nice conversation to take us home.
Well, brilliant from Dan. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call this perfect hair. It's on the ropes. It's been locked down. It's not the greatest hair I've ever had. I'm not exactly Sam Curran. But in terms of then, what are we doing? We're doing England or just the predictions
in general? Just give your predictions in general and some rebuttals to what we said. But Mpo, we're going to give it to them now to speak, and then we're going to say bye, because I think we both said enough today.
Yeah, I think many of the viewers would agree with that as well, Khalid. But yes, so then, Lucy, I think it's only fair that we talk about England, isn't it, really? We've had enough talk about the Proteas. Of course, Lucy, what are you thinking for tomorrow? Personally, I'm quite confident. I'm going to be honest. because we usually start really slowly and then build up momentum. We've got a winning 11 so far. And of course, this team does know how to win from these positions. What do you reckon is going to happen from an English perspective tomorrow?
I think Moeen Ali will definitely play. I think they'll take him as a spinner. And I think, like, before yesterday's game, I thought we would have won yesterday and, like, lost tomorrow. But I'm feeling we could win tomorrow now, actually. I think they've got, like, a taste of winning now, and I think they'll just carry on, especially with Bairstow in the team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the only thing that I will say with Jason Roy, I know he didn't make your 11, Lucy, but if he does play, he needs a big score. We keep on mentioning, I've now mentioned it 3 or 4 times now, sound like a broken record with regards to Jason Roy, but 7 innings, 49 runs. This guy's a bona fide run scoring machine. We've seen him do it in Australia. We've seen him do it on so many occasions for England. If he gets a big score tomorrow, this could really kickstart his place in that England team. It could cement and establish that top 6 for England. So I think that's be vital. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing Dad Milan. He needs a big score. He hasn't really played very well in South Africa. I think he got 11 on the last tour as well. So yeah, they're 2 guys that I'm looking for. But yeah, my prediction, I think England are going to seal the series tomorrow, personally.
Yeah, I'd like to see Dawid Milan and Jason Roy get a nice partnership if they're in together. But yeah, I totally agree. I think people are going to start questioning Roy's ability otherwise if he doesn't score big. So yeah,
Definitely.
And Paarl, prediction tomorrow? Who's going to win?
South Africa's going to win. We're going to pull it out. Bjorn Hendricks is going to have a flyer. And yeah, look, we're always on a hiding to nothing, but I think Friday showed us that actually we're not that far away. But I do think Paarl's gonna come through for South Africa. I think they'll do quite well.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing as Paarl. I'm going for a win from South Africa because I have to, but I really do think that after that first game, I think they showed a lot of good signs over there. I think Quinton de Kock's captaincy was actually brilliant. Other than the fact that I don't know who gave Bjorn Hendricks the instructions to go for a lot of Yorkers and stuff on that pitch. I think that pitch was more for the slower ball and the shorter balls. The slower ball bouncer was doing really well in that particular game, but I think that Quinton de Kock actually handled our bowlers quite well yesterday. And I think that on the Paarl wicket, I think it does suit South Africa's bowlers a lot better, in my opinion. That's what I think. But anyway, so I'm going to go for a win over there. Thanks a lot, guys, everybody, for tuning in. Obviously, we'll come back tomorrow again with our review show. It's going to be a lot of fun again. It's obviously a lot earlier than it was last night, of course, because it's a day game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to be a lot more fresh and less mistakes, I hope, from my side. And and let's have a lot of fun for that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the Cricket Fanatics magazine. It's free. So the link's on the screen and in the description. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates on the England series. There's an England series tab, and you can just click on that and you'll get updated with everything. Pieces from Lucy, there's pieces from me, there's pieces from our greatest Chris, and so many others, Mark as well, Abai, everybody is chipping in. So guys, go check that content out. And Ravi as well is going to be on the shows as well, and Paarl and all of these guys you see on the streams, they're all going to be with you right through the series. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.